Mhm.
Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is still Friday, March the 16th, 2019. See, I looked again. Now it's just a habit, I guess. No, if
It's
I
not
don't do it,
Friday
it'll
though.
be a different. Say what?
Not Friday. You're freaking
Oh,
me out. I'm thinking it better not be Friday. I'm in
see,
serious
well, it doesn't
trouble.
say what day of the week it is down there.
Oh, it's not
It
Friday.
only says
Oh, I
the
didn't
day.
even know. That's right. It's not Friday. Summer was home all day.
I did a lot of wrong stuff today. If today's Friday.
Well, yeah, Albert's been home all day, and I don't.
Slipped right
I
back.
I'm basking in the glory of losing my mind, so I'm okay with it.
That's all right then.
So apparently it is Saturday.
Okay. Go work that.
Maybe about to be Sunday where you are, but here it's still.
Well, not quite yet, but you know, if we go much past an hour and a half, it will be. So yeah. Anyway, we did get busy to come back, and now we're gonna do the next one, which we were talking because it's kind of related, I feel. We soar to new heights when multidimensional realization is applied, comma, applying, comma, application, dot, dot, dot. And I'm saying it just like that. Yeah. So what, first of all, explain that one, BZ. I think I already know what you mean, but.
Well, there seems to be a propensity, the thought of that, that just to use the placeholder word, that the linear, that the physical, which we described in the previous video, is there, but just goes away. And New Earth is right here, right now, and it has its own frequency. And the third dimensional Earth has still a little bit of viability and the fact of a breathing sort of thing to it, but the lower physical, so the very upper third, the very lower fourth and middle fourth dimension is here. So the physical stuff, I'm just going to use linear language. So the physical stuff, the tangible things, the systems and structures that will stay because they can expand and flex and hold, expand into, evolve into the higher frequency. And so it's not, the propensity is that, well, we just, disappear and go someplace else. And what we're doing is we're, just as we're bringing all of us imploding into us, we are then bringing forth the creativity, the creator ability, the toys in the toolbox, see previous video, all of those kinds of things into, you could say, this linear, this physical, touchable, tangible thing. Mm-hmm. And that's why we soar, because then we take all that multidimensionality, all that quantum perception and ability and perspective and the mind, the multidimensional mind, and we bring it into building houses. We bring it into who's going to take out the trash. We bring it into, new forms of exchange, hence used to be called money and that whole path that it took us down. So you could look at it as it's not an amalgamation. It's not a weaving together. It's that trinity, the new birthing that comes forward in all of that. And we soar, because now we have, you know, a whole new society and societal some structures, but from a whole new heart space, a whole new multidimensional space. Yet we are bringing it into the formness, right, space, and we're bringing it out. And that puts a whole new spin on everything. That puts a whole new ability and capability on something. So for an example, you know, I, with with my own dog Keegan, and then with stuff at work, you know, I have the main vet is a vet that does, quote unquote, alternative therapies, energetic healing, and all that kind of stuff. And I do have a regular vet, you know, who's a secondary to that for things that are more of the linear scale. So maybe doing a blood panel, or doing a fecal test, or a urine test, or any of those kinds of things, right? You know, or a heart rhythm test, or so things. But because I have the blend of the two, and then there's a situation where I have another being that I care for, that, and because I have the blend of both aspects, from the, you know, the veterinary medical doctor aspects, right? But also we could say I've got a quantum vet and I've got a linear vet. And then you have the being who is responsible for the animal, who is multidimensional. They are too, but who knows that she's multidimensional and can bring all that to bear. Well, now I'm soaring in the capabilities of what can be brought to an illness, what can be brought to solutions, because they just keep being created, blending the best from all of those things, and then recreating and creating a new, you know, new ways to look at a test, new things to then have the test show us that heretofore hadn't been seen, because this says it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Yeah, I'm just going to say yes. It makes me a little swirly thinking about all of that, but I know of what you're speaking of, because being open to trying things new ways is part of what you're speaking on too.
Yeah, because you know, you could have, just to take that example, because you can use it in anything. So I'm talking about vets. If you talk about doctors, you could talk about you know, different health practitioners. You could talk about schooling. You could talk about education. You could talk about all sorts of things, right? Okay.
Right.
So just back on the vet thing for a moment. There are things that in the box of Western veterinary medicine, you know, aren't given that much weight, or aren't, you know, the paths and the training that things went down. Yet a patient has something going on, and clearly this box is not resolving it, is not helping it, right?
Right.
And you have, so it's interesting that there's a trinity, you know, of the human sort with this, right? So then you have another vet that has a different box, although expanding all the time with different things. And then you have someone who's just a girl and her dog who's saying, hey, you know, I have a knowing and a nudge to do this or that, to ask you this or that, to say, hey, what about this or that? Or I think that this dot you presented and this dot you presented, and the patient is confirming this dot over here, that means this. This is me saying this. And you know, so one vet is looking, going, wow. And the other vet's going, nah, no way. Holy smokes, you know. And so, again, replace vet with anything. And that's what's going on. So beings who are tuned in and tapped in and playing a little bit more, a lot, you know, they got it all going on, however you want to phrase it, at the different levels that beings are part of the symphony that we're all, you know, playing, or part of these great kites that we're building, that we're going to be soaring on in the whole. This is how we build a new earth. This is how the whole idea of, you know, taking out the trash, because no one's going to want to take out the trash because they're all sitting on their new earth, you know, chaise lounges, and, you know, who wants to get first of all, it's a totally different energetic frequency neighborhood. So there is that complete cooperation and that complete coordinated cooperation that's seamless and effortless, and it flows. That's number one. Now, for some beings, that's not a completely new way to be, because that's the way they've been being for an awfully long time. For some beings, that's an incredibly new way to be. They've never experienced that. And they're kind of afraid that that may not happen, because they think it's a good idea. But what about these other beings who really haven't been paying attention, right? You know. Nonetheless, this is what is occurring and how it's flowing. And so playing with the concept of it, playing with the actual tangible ways you can do that in your own life right this moment, lets you really take off to do that. And that's where those three words come into being, come into the equation, come into pulling it into the tangible and the physical. Because not only are you applying a quantum and multidimensional mind to how you're doing this, but an expansive heart, and pulling things from knowings on different realms into it. So that's, you're applying yourself, selves, right? You are applying that multidimensionality, that way to do that. When you apply something, you know, stick it on it, you know, I'm applying, you know, the Velcro or whatever it is, you know, so you're doing that in different ways. So you could say you're doing it from multiple perspectives at the same time. And it changes, you know, how we create something, how we look at something, how we say, it's got to be a better way, right, you know, to do that. And it's not from the starting place of the old fixing it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up in just that manner, because this has kind of come up for me within this conversation. And now with that right there, it came up again. And that is, you know, there's a bit of that programming and conditioning that in some of these cases that would, you know, the beings that, you know, jump immediately to the, you know, who's going to take out the trash, or well, we can't all walk around doing what makes our heart sing, because what if, you know, what makes your heart sing is to kill people? Well, first of all, don't think that right there in and of itself is a bit of a program, because I've heard that a lot, actually. And how do we jump
frequency? And what we're talking about on the Make Your Heart Sing is of service, is expansive heart, is making your heart sing and joyous to the individual unique singularity that you are becoming or have already become, right? Depending on where your frequency is and where you're predominantly holding it. It is inclusive of others, and it has the richness, the personalness just to you. But they all are in sync. They all are in coherence with each other, where before, or for some people right this minute, they are not.
Well, exactly. And for me, that's why this feels very much that issue, sort of. What I mean by that is that always feels like a program to automatically jump to, well, we can't do that because, first of all, who said that, that's a thing? I don't know. I can't imagine that people going around making their heart sing to kill somebody. So I don't buy that. I think that's a program, and I think that's BS.
Well, it's the biggest point that highlights for that, the energy frequency, is its fear in the being who's bringing that forward.
Well, absolutely.
Remember, forget everybody else. It's just you right there. So how you're holding that is how you are choosing to experience it and to delve into.
Right. Well, because it's like it's almost it's the same kind of thing when folks say, well, if you ask somebody if they think there's ever going to be world peace and the answer is going to always no, well, then we probably won't ever have it. Well, again, that feels like a program that folks jump to, right? It's like that's a pat.
Well, especially this being, because when people discover what the whole peace thing is, they'll be really glad that it doesn't come to fruition. But that's a whole other conversation.
But it's still just that all of these things for me feel a little too pat or whatever. Yes. Whatever it is, and I don't even care.
It's warning shielding on the mechanism to rope you around, to keep you small.
Right.
So, you're choosing that. And again, see previous video about a particular section of the galaxy is within you. Not filling you up completely. That's just, like right over here on your elbow. Yeah. All of these things that we have, all sorts of things, are here because we created and brought them forth. Now, some of them got here in a route. It wasn't in the chair, because they're technology, exotic technologies, although of a very old sort right now, that have come forward. But they're coming forward from beings who are us, and since we're in a linear bent, in the future, right? Although it's all happening at the same time. I think one of the best ways, so each of those three words, right? Applied, applying, and application. So you could look at each word. How do you hold it if you're looking at a dictionary? So an application, well, application is an application form. An application is, you have an application and you put that application in your mouth, right? That's an application. There's lots of different ways that those are just two of a myriad of examples on that particular word. So
how they might apply.
What?
I'm sorry, I had to say it. On how they might apply.
Right, there you go. On how they might apply, and are you applying yourself, and all those kinds of things. We did one. The word's not coming to me, where I bumped my head on the table, and we had three. It was three words that were very similar, and I don't remember what they were at the time. But Sheila thought, really? And then she got to the end of the conversation and went, wow, really? Holy smokes. So this is what this is all about, or what application are we creating from the linear, quote unquote, aspect that's using a multidimensional, could be a drawing board, it could be a creation board. So it's an amalgamation. It's and these are not at all accurate words, but it's a bringing together and coalescing into a coherence that forms something completely new. And when one has, just an example of the trash, you know, that and I use it and I smile every time, because it's, for years, it's been like this thing that's stuck, that people come. And so it really is, yes, they're talking about the trash, but it's also, you know, kind of like this metaphor for that groove of that think groove that people get stuck in. It's a fear groove. It's a, well, it's a small group, because how can I possibly do what I really want to do finally, you know, the good stuff and the fun stuff and that makes my heart sing stuff, if I'm going to have to worry about taking the trash out? And so boil all of that down and away, and what really is it? That's small and fear and totally closed-hearted. So that's where the wrestling's really coming with. It just, you know, either sets up an argument or sets up an unanswerable, in theory, question about, well, we can't have that because who's going to take that out the trash? And we're the ones who decide whether we want to leave ourselves, quote unquote, behind or not. But all that's a whole other conversation. What this is about is that we're not leaving, per se, one thing and jumping to something new, unless we want to go to a non-embodiment state. And that's cool. And that's absolutely a choice. But in the embodiment state, you know, that pretend physical state that you got, see previous video. What's happening. This is the next generation is a linear euphemism. Of course, that's not even accurate, because it would be like the next, you know, milligenerational kind of a thing, because we're all making each thing that we want, each product, each system, each structure, each routine, each application, you know, is going to be a quantum jump over it, what it was at the very least. And will have its multidimensional aspect, not only, you know, I use the phrase, you know, your multidimensionality is showing. Well, not only will the system, structure, whatever it is, multidimensionality be showing, but it will be fully ensconced in and part of the inner workings and the nuance of that tangible structure, system, whatever, you know, that it is, that makes it happen.
Well, I can already feel some of those things coalescing. Not many, maybe, or at least not in my purview that I see at the moment. Maybe in the physical, but I don't know. I feel like there are things like that happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's happening within me.
Yeah,
I'm creating that. It's every time I encounter anything and I acknowledge not only my own multidimensionality, but that of, you know, that which is before me, that which is me. Having, you know, I was telling Sheila, I'm really starting to grok it, that you are simply a new angle in my own perspective of myself. Another pair of eyes looking back at me. And there is so much love and joy in that place. And so everything that I participate in in that energetic, in the creation of the joy of acknowledging who and what I am in all parts and fractals of me, becomes quite the experience. And that's the soaring.
Right.
Because in that place, that's where I commune and have the unity and the cohesion necessary to create that next thing that you're talking about, BZ, that next iteration that wants to be born. And that's the third thing that we give birth to.
Right.
And wow, how exciting is that to participate in? And we have that opportunity before us with each moment. That's the moment we're in now, to be conscious or not of what you're creating. And by choosing consciousness, everything around me came alive, in ways that I just didn't even expect, and continually be surprised and, magically in awe behind what is happening right now, just from that space, creating from that space. And just think about how different things could be so quickly if just a whole bunch of us were to reach that space, just within that space is right here, not doing anything any differently per se, other than to say how I'm doing those very same things.
Right.
When that changes.
Which is actually doing everything totally differently, but yeah.
Right, exactly. But it is the same thing. I'm not changing the things I am doing. I'm just doing them consciously.
That's right.
Yeah, and then everything changes consciously. Everything comes alive. So join us.
Yeah. Well, Lisa said so many fascinating things. I want to grab just one piece. When you were talking about where you're choosing to meet it and to become conscious with it, and then you are creating something. Okay, so hold that piece for a moment. And a lot of beings say, I can't wait to get, out of the linear. I can't wait to go X, Y, and Z. Well, if you're leaving, then you can't be there to hold it forth, to bring it forth, to go into coherence with it. Because you've run away someplace. So you've missed the expansion boat. So, to use linear vernacular, right? It's like, all the rest of you go, wonder where she went. Well, the party's over here.
Yes, but I got to be honest with you. The new age, there was a lot of I won't say wrong information, but
who do you think marketed and created the new age?
No, I'm aware of that. I am
Vatican.
No, I get that. Like I said, now I do. I get that. I'm just saying that there's been so many misinformation, disinformation, and all of that. And I do totally get it. Why now? Of course, we did that for ourselves too. In a certain kind of way, and that's why I now really get when the two of you, when I first started all this, I just wanted you to give me the damn answers. That's what I wanted. But
that's what everybody wants. Yeah.
Yes, I know. But I now see why there's just no way, because first of all, I'll repeat what I got in my head from myself, and that is, well, where's the sovereignty in that? Because that's how we all got into this mess in the first place. because
yeah.
so and so over here said such and such, and we bought it. So, and I just wanted to throw that in there because it's really only that going within, which I still am focusing on now in a much more conscious fashion than I ever have. And I see so much more, I feel so much more in regards to my own multidimensionality. And that is the only way we can do that. That there, I don't know why
So you actually pointed at another level and layer of this. And just a footnote here that this is the case with all of these conversations we have, and sometimes we don't even get to like the little tiny sliver on one of the very top layers. And I've often said we could do every one of these conversations at least 2 or 3 more times, and we still would have barely, scratched the surface. But what you were pointing to just there is, and it's slipped right out, another layer. Can you give me a ballpark of what you were talking about so I can bring it back?
Well, I don't know why, but this just popped up. I was pointing to the fact that we got misinformation, disinformation from the new age bit about what we're to expect or what, and that's why I part of the reason I brought that up is, the whole jumping from one thing to another.
Right.
The
Okay.
whole idea of an event. And now for something we're going to move from here to over here now, and we're going to do this and that, but that's not how any of this works.
Right.
That's not how any of this works. I now feel for myself. It's,
well, I got, yes, thank you. And that's even more pointing to, so this brings another level. We're soaring to new heights when multidimensional realization is applying, and with application there. So for Sheila's old favorite chestnut of meditation, so now even more is the time where that, let me flip it the other way. So the realization, so we're realizing, right? And bringing that which we're maybe having a sense of, maybe visioning, maybe dreaming, maybe just meditating, which, because sometimes if someone still has meditation as an intellectual exercise, and it's this kind of thing you do that you make up when your eyes are closed, and then, it's not really real. But we're realizing it, right? So we're making it real. We are taking the application of that. And what I'm getting at is that more and more beings will see all of this, experience all of this, apply all of this with their eyes wide open at work, at play, in the grocery store, wherever it is, because that's the whole idea of soaring all of this, where you're not having to go sit over there, kind of remove yourself from it. You are completely immersed in it, and it's not Tuesday afternoon at 5 p.m. that you're doing these things, right? It's all the time, because it's all of you interacting with all of you again. So any system, any structure, all of it.
Right. No, you're right about that. I mean, I in the last video I shared my experience that happened on the biomap, but I've had lots more experiences recently, just, sitting in the backyard, waiting in the car, lots of different things now I see and feel, like you were saying about how we bring things forth for ourselves. Music, is constantly communicating with me on my own as an earworm in my head, or, in of all places, the bank. So I'm getting all kinds of communication with myself from all different sorts of levels of me. It's the consciousness level as to whether or not I'm paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing of it's all data.
Mm-hmm.
It's all me trying to communicate with me on whatever level that I'm allowing it in at that moment.
Well, again, it's back to those three words. So it's the application of that, and part of what's being brought forth in everyone's nudges, absolutely everyone's nudges, with greater and greater frequency, greater and greater demonstrable ways, is the letting loose of, so to loose that upon yourself, of the creativeness within you. Now, there's a lot of beings that say, or have said in the past, I'm not creative. And I've smiled and said, oh, okay, so this is not creative. Well, so, but more and more and more, we are being asked to dance with, step into, unfurl our wings to soar with that creativity, because it's not that all of a sudden we're creative, or all of a sudden the energies are making it conducive to it. No, we're creative friggin' beings. And it's not wanting to hide anymore. And so the application of that multidimensionality part, which is the totality of us, is coming into coherence with that creation shining forth. And so that's, that the people ask, well, the how do you build the new earth? How do you do? We do it. And we're already doing it, and we're now actually applying all of that. And there's all these energies having an amplifying effect, an amplification of that, what's already been created in the ether. And then we are applying that, it's like paint. The paint store, the ether is a paint store, and the paint is not just your regular 3D level paint you put on a wall, but you paint it and a three-dimensional thing arises. All of these different things. This is what we're doing, because the capability of the molecular structure on a more can't think of the word right now, the finite capability of a molecular structure is there is nothing there. There are no molecules that are tangibly there to represent, the stuff that this microphone or whatever else is there. And as that comes forward, we're acknowledging not only our own multidimensionality, but the energy frequency of everything and no thing, and all that we can pull it out. So someone has asked before, well, I'm not quite sure I understand that, you create it in the no thing form, and then you pull it in, because that's how it gets there. It's all energy, and then it coalesces into a different pattern in the no formness, and then it's brought into formness. Hence, it comes to the state where we again, I think we did this in the other conversation where we have this illusion that this is a glass of water with all of these water molecules in here, where in truth, scientifically, from a linear perspective, there's nothing here. There is no stuff that can be called that thing.
Well, you know, there that's science, and not everybody gets that. I get that, but that's easy enough for you to go and look up. That, you know, when you get right down to it, measurably, molecules, what is that, an atom? It's 99.999% space, and that's what you're referring to there. Easy.
Yes, actually, that would be on one level back of just a quantifiable scientific way. If you look at the full structure of it, it's nothing there to look at.
Right. Right.
And this isn't new age science. This started with Planck back in the 20s or 19, in the 20s.
Well, late teens, early 20s.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. It's not a new age kind of sciencey thing. Just I threw that in since we were talking about new age a minute ago.
Right.
It's not some newfangled woo-woo shit science now.
No. Well, that's I think that might be when you were speaking on, you know, the coalescing. That's what I have been feeling. Mm-hmm. You know, different things. Well, just all kinds of stuff coalescing. That's really all I can say about that.
You can feel it because you're becoming more, your instrument is becoming more sensitive to feel that. You can feel it because you're creating it. You can feel it because you're working with others to co-create it. So there's lots of different levels, right? And applications of that feeling of it, and all are accurate because again, it's on different teams, it's on different, you know, however you want to describe it.
Right.
That's what's going on.
Right. No, I mean,
and in the feeling, it actually, if you play with that a bit more, and you could put your own application on what you're feeling, right, and apply your feelingness to that. And now you've added, so it may be that you're feeling someone else's thing that they were creating. You just feel it. You're just sensing it, right? You're feeling it there. And in playing with that, in applying yourself to that feeling of what's going on there, and then bringing that forward, you're actually taking whatever that amorphous, so to say, thing was there, and creating something in addition, something new, something, the next gen of that, right? And that's part of also how it flows in.
It's all just so terribly exciting.
I know.
And when I feel into some of the things that feel like, and it's not like I have any kind of words or anything. It's just, there's this excitement that gets started. Mm-hmm. And, like in the core of me, like, in the power center, the solar plexus area. So it's all very.
Well, part of that's the creative engine, because the molecules are getting excited. You ever watched a pot of water boil? The molecules are getting excited, and so all of that, and what are molecules? They're no-thingness, which is just energy frequency. So the frequencies are bouncing off the frequencies at the behest of each of the frequencies, and they're applying themselves to all of this creative force that's quantuming up. That's, making the ascension leap up on all of Source's multiverses. It's pretty damn exciting. From just a thought form and a, excited molecular energetic form. We are in and on the threshold, and in the bangingness of the true Big Bang that is coming forth.
Yes. Yeah. The word I wanted to use there, where we are in the throes of that. You're absolutely right. How exciting is that?
I know, right? Got my whole head tingling. I think my hair is standing on end.
It's not about waiting for the memo. You're a kick-ass creative being. So
Yes, I am.
Get playing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Apply. I feel like saying apply the application how you choose your own application. This is yeah, the more the
it's an inside job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what else to say, because like I said earlier, I just wanted you guys to give me the answers. And I was right damn frustrated that nobody was giving me the answers. And sometimes it feels that there's a lot of vagueness and stuff too. But I kind of
dance with it. It's crystal clear.
Yes,
and
yes.
It can only get crystal clear when you go and play with it from the inside. It becomes crystal clear. You wiping your own windshields, cleaning your own windows, and it goes from amorphous to yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
Just like that. And everybody, every being, it doesn't matter where they're from or what they had or whether they can meditate or whatever, every being who's stepped over that threshold, who's done the thing, goes, yeah, that's how it is. Because 1 minute I was standing here, it's like, what are you, what? And then I was here, it's like, yeah, it's just
Well, yes, but to be very clear, for myself, it's not like because there's also this proclivity to think that oh, okay, so now I know it all, or now I know everything. No. Oh, in fact, quite the opposite is true. What?
I said you're eternal.
Well, yeah.
So since you're a creator being and you're eternal, that's not going to happen.
Well, yes and no.
Then you would have single-handedly stopped all of eternity from ever being eternal. And, what's up with that?
Yeah, that was me, right? That sounds like something Sheila would do. But no, seriously, because it's actually twofold. Because I started to say I don't know everything, but I do. We all do. But I'm keeping stuff for myself, and I'm doing it on purpose because I'm enjoying this journey at this point. I'm having a great time learning about myself, and this entire fantastical unfathomable, you know, from the previous video, ride that I've concocted here for myself. And so I mean, it just, I don't know, it's all very delicious, and I'm so very dizzy in this moment.
Well, all the usual things in all the usual places. We'll just go around that merry-go-round.
Yes, let's just do that. Exactly. Till next time.
Bye.